What's up, familia? So, MCM in London just happened this weekend, and the FOMO was real because our co-host, Latvarian Lad, was there.
Hello.
How was it? I mean, tell me.
It
Did you have a
was.
fun time?
I had a great time. Yeah, probably the best MCM I've been to, actually. And in no small part due to the other guest we've got on, Chris.Cosplay.
G'day, g'day, kia ora, kia ora.
Oh my God. Can I tell you, I am such a stan of both of you cosplaying together, daddy and son. I didn't even know there was an implication there until I got a flood of DMs of people being like, "Oh my God, daddy and son." I was like, "It's Cyclops and Cable. What are you talking about?"
From the future.
Yeah. The minds of people on the internet, when it's some wholesome content of father and son going to a con together.
And bonding. Cable never got that as a child. He was sent to the future with a technovirus. He's not going around Comic-Cons. So no, he finally gets the chance, and it's just, kind, it's nice, it's wholesome. No, we had so much fun. And I think there will be a huge influx of X-Men cosplayers the closer we get to X-Men 97 coming out next year. So I hope to do it again in May.
From the rumor mill, it sounds like Cable and Cyclops are going to have huge roles in X-Men 97. I mean, well, Cyclops and Cable did have huge roles in the original, so that's not any groundbreaking thing. But a lot of people are saying they're excited for Cyclops' role because he says the infamous line, "To me, my X-Men," at the clip that was shown at San Diego Comic-Con, and Cable has been in the X-Men 97 material. So you guys...
We're ahead of the game.
You're ahead of the game.
We're ahead of the game.
It's the equivalent of Avengers Assemble, really.
So this is the second MCM this year. How does that work? Can you explain it for folks at home? So you have one MCM in May and then another one in October. Is that like, Sean, is that like having one New York Comic Con in May and then another one in October? Like what's the deal there?
Essentially, yeah, so they're pretty much exactly the same. It does... I don't know. Did the one feel bigger? I mean, Chris, you read both of them. I think the one yesterday felt a little bit bigger than the one in May. But...
Yeah, the one I think October is generally the big one. It's odd. They're both in seasons where it's a transitional, like spring or autumn. Sorry, fall for the listeners in America. Yeah, I don't know. It felt a lot bigger yesterday than it was in May. But it's definitely a lot more anime focused, and the one in May felt more superhero, Marvel, DC, and had a lot more cosplayers and a lot more guests that I think fitted that specific avenue. But I don't know if that's intentional or not.
In terms of like the content of like, there's artist alleys, there's the vendors, there's cosplay areas. That the setup's the same. So it's essentially that we've got Comic-Con twice a year.
Yeah. Okay, is it as big as New York Comic Con?
No,
okay,
not even close. So I think that's why we get two, so we can add them both up to try to make one as. So I think that so it's at the Excel Center in London, which is not as big as the Javits Center. And what the Javits Center has that's really good is kind of like the atriums in the middle where all the cosplayers hang out, and it's got the great skylights and amazing lighting for photos. At MCM, the kind of transitional areas between where all the vendors are is this alleyway with food courts on each side and then tables in the middle. So it's not the easiest place to kind of stop and take pictures. And then what it is outside the building, there's a kind of barred off area that's where all the cosplayers go to set up the photo shoots and meet, the professional photographers. It ended up raining for a lot of the day yesterday. So we were about to start our X-Men meetup. It started pissing rain, so we had to put that on hold for a few minutes. But as in London, you wait about 10 seconds and the rain passes and the sun comes back out. So
no, it wasn't London. It was as soon as the Storm cosplayer came back to join our meet, the rain stopped.
Yes. Wait, was that the one that did the Mary Shag kill?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. She was fabulous. I'm sorry, Chris, I interrupted you.
Yeah, she was. Big hair, big cape with iridescent fabric and lights throughout it as well. Yeah. She was actually entering the cosplay competition that night. I don't know how she did yet.
So are there booths? Like we know Hasbro was there, but does like Marvel have a booth? Does DC have a booth? And do they host like those official? No. Okay.
So I think that's the difference too. Whereas New York and probably like San Diego, you get a lot of the big studios doing I guess press for things that are coming out. Here it's much more local vendors. There was a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons vendors selling like dice and things like that. There was a Bandai booth because we went to that, and there was the Hasbro booth that we got some of the shots for you from. I don't think there was any new releases, right, for the action figures.
There were Spider-Man, not X-Men. Sadly.
Okay. Because we looked at them and I was like, I don't actually know if these are new or not, so let's just make a video for Dayspring and see if he likes it.
I was like, thanks, I'll post this. No, there weren't any new reveals, but that's why I was asking if Marvel or DC had an official presence there, because, and I said this on a previous episode of the podcast, it's really curious to me that Hasbro in the last year has decided that MCM London in October is where they're going to showcase some reveals. Now, they did the Spider-Man reveals this year, which were pretty big for Spider-Man Marvel Legends collectors. But last year, they did a lot of X-Men stuff, and people went nuts for it. And I was in the middle of moving from New York to Miami, and I had to stop everything I was doing just to post about it. And I was like, where the fuck did MCM London come out with Marvel Legends reviews? It's insane.
Yeah, it does feel strange compared to doing it at New York Comic Con.
But why wouldn't they do like UK, based characters? Like, we theorized maybe this is where we're going to see Rachel because she was part of Excalibur. I was like, where is it? And I want to give a shout out to some of the folks in the Marvel Legends community. Displayed Once and It's Dan Who were there, and they asked Ryan Ting about Rachel and Madeline, and they're going to post their content soon. So shout out to them.
Shout out to them.
Okay, so walk me through your day and like how you guys got started. Did you, Sean, when we were at New York Comic Con, got ready at the place we were staying, did you guys meet up and get ready together and then walk into the con together? No.
It sounds like Sean got changed at the tube station on the platform.
Because when you go to cons, especially if you're not, let's say, at a hotel right next to it, I do find it a little funny to just be walking through a city and cosplay when it's like contextually not relevant, right? So I like the Cyclops one. It's really easy because it's a spandex suit. You throw on like jogging pants and a jacket over it, and all of a sudden, like, you look like you're incognito. So I traveled that way through the tube, and I met Chris literally at the tube station at the Excel Center. But you did travel in cosplay.
I did. And, it's London. No one bats an eye.
Yeah,
I think you were saying this about New York as well. You can be dressed as whatever the hell you like, and no one's going to say something. You might get a side eye, but everyone's very much none of my business. Do not want a part of that.
Sweetheart, was that a late night or are you partying right now? Let me take a photo. No,
I'm not taking a photo of you.
I'm not taking a photo of you. It was hysterical.
Yeah. Dayspring and I had, that was funny. The woman, Dayspring, I'll get another shot. I'm not taking a photo of you.
She was like this raspy New Yorker. She's like, "Oh, sweetheart, was it a long night?" I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, did anyone recognize you? Because I've only cosplayed once or twice to New York Comic Con, and mine was more like a Robin costume when I was like 24. And people did recognize me on the subway, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to New York Comic Con. You look so great. I love Batman Bob." Did people recognize Cable? Because your Cable is pretty iconic. It's the mid-90s and Marvel versus Capcom Cable, where people are like, "Hey, you're an X-Men character. You must be going to that con that's happening."
I got Comic-Con, my son's going to that. A picture of you on the tube. So yes, I did get a little attention on my way there, but it was like one person, and he was all very good-natured about it.
Because you did. What's really funny is my friend, because Chris came out with us later that evening. It was Halloween. Halloween kind of going out night, right? Last night, Saturday night in the UK. So Chris came over after the con, and one of my friends randomly went, "Hey, I saw you on the tube today. You were just like Wolverine." And then, of course, we both groaned, going, "Oh."
Cable.
Non-nerdy gays.
And they see an X and they think Wolverine. That's only because of the film's huge propping up of Wolverine as the main character of the X-Men, which is a big problem unto itself.
Chris, I know I can speak to everyone at Power of X-Men in this community. You are welcome back to rant about that. Okay, so you guys met up at the con. You guys are in full cosplay, and then you just walk in, and people must be like, "Oh my God, that's Cable and Cyclops right there," because you rarely see a Cable cosplayer with a Cyclops cosplayer, and vice versa. You never really see them together.
Yeah, I think it was a huge impact to be there together for sure. Like visually, it's very, very stunning, very colorful. So we did get stopped for quite a few photos along the way. It made it kind of difficult to go and see things, and also quite a few of the alleys were really, really packed. So we made it to the Hasbro stand. We made it to the Doctor Who stand. We went to Imperial Outlanders. Shout out to Imperial Outlanders, the Star Wars fan stand. But there was a lot of jostling through people and no mind of their own personal space.
I mean, like every Comic-Con.
Well, so Chris in his costume, he has one eye with a contact, so can't see out that eye. And anybody who's worn any like Cyclops visor for cosplay, like it does impair the vision to very much no peripheral side. So you're kind of walking through, you know, it's never an easy thing to go through the con where you can't really see super well.
You guys are the blind leading the blind. You're like leading each other. Oh my god.
Luckily we had my partner Matthew, Journey to the Lair, who was taking all of our photos and videos. So I have to give a big shout out to him. He was such a sweetheart all day. I'm so lucky.
And such a great photographer. Like takes amazing shots, held all the bags, like and it was so funny because every time he'd take a shot of us, you get people that would come and be like, "You just take one with my phone." So, I mean, he should have just started charging yesterday to be a photographer.
Yeah, that's the thing. As soon as someone asks you for a photo, you get a queue of about 5 or 6 other people wanting to have a photo, which is lucky. We're blessed to have decent, relatively simple cosplays that are very, very effective.
So, how do you think this compares to other cons that you guys have been to? Like, what do you think makes MCM different among the con circuit?
Good question. I think well,
like your open question.
It's a lot more anime focused than New York Comic Con was. So in New York, I would say the majority of cosplay I saw was very Marvel or DC. It was a lot of things I had like really cool costumes, but you know, you're like, oh, it's a guy with aqua green hair styled like an anime character in a suit that I don't recognize, but like, you know, all really cool looks. So there's a lot of that. So I'd say it's less kind of superhero focused. And then generally, like, you know, the layout, let's say, is very much like New York Comic Con. I could say like my only other one is like Montreal Comic Con, which is not great.
Yeah.
My experience is Armageddon Comic-Con in New Zealand, and that is very, very small. I mean, a lot of people travel a lot longer to get there, so it means we get less of all of the content that people in New York, San Diego, and London would get. So for me, MCM was a huge shift and really eye-opening for me to see a place where everyone is so welcoming of each other's nerddom. I didn't see any negativity really about the con at all this time around, which was very, very lovely. I've also gone to things like Musical Con, which I did last weekend, and that's hence this color dream code in the background that I have that has Cable's vest harness on top.
Oh my god, someone commented on the photo we posted of you guys, and they said, "Look at Cable's X nipples."
Yeah, they're burning red.
Well, MCM looks really, really fun. I'm sorry I couldn't make it back in May, but I couldn't conceptualize. I was like, oh, I guess they're just doing it because COVID shifted so many calendars around. I couldn't conceptualize that this con happens twice a year.
Yeah.
And the October one is truly the one to go to because it seems like that's where they're putting in some of the eggs in the basket for. Because if Hasbro's there and they're doing a panel, especially at the center stage, they're doing reveals, and you guys saying that it was more anime focused, that was a lot like how New York Comic Con was back in the early days. So their plan could be a long-term plan that they want to build MCM as like the Comic Con to go to that's New York and San Diego, except now this one's in London, and they're sort of building their repertoire of guests and culture there. So it looked a lot of fun.
There are other cons that are building in the UK. So MCM also does a Comic-Con in Birmingham, but there's MegaCon. There is another one that's coming along soon as well. So yeah, MegaCon's in January, and that seems to have really great guests booked in at the moment. There's London Film and TV Con, I think, as well. So that also gets a lot of the big film guests as well. So it is all quite split out to have all in one in London. So
Yeah.
I think there are a lot more avenues for people to go say anime. That's the one for MCM.
Yeah. And so this is the one to go to though. If like I'm a comic book fan, I'm living in London, I want to have that kind of quintessential con experience. MCM is the one to go to.
Yeah.
Twice a
Definitely.
year, apparently.
Twice
Twice
a
a
year.
year.
And you say October. I would like, to be honest, if you're traveling, I would say go to the May one, because London's a lot nicer in May than it is in October. So considering that they're very similar, like like, okay, this one might have had the Hasbro booth.
That's a huge draw for a lot of people.
Yeah,
man.
it is. But if you like, if you're flying from America or Canada or anywhere across the world, like the 10 minutes you'll spend at the Hasbro booth versus being in London during the spring, which is a lot nicer than being in the fall, I would say prioritize going to the spring.
Okay.
Yes.
You would suggest the spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would too. Yeah. The photos outside for at least all the cosplay, there were so many blue skies, so many more cosplayers outside because it was less likely to rain. Yeah, definitely.
But there's some really good like when we went outside. So once we kind of meandered around the floor, and to be honest, we didn't really do, like, we went to the Bandai booth, we went to the Hasbro booth, we went to the Star Wars stuff. There was a giant T-Rex for Jurassic Park that we went to go see. And at that point, we were like, let's just go outside and like grab photos and just like meet people. And there were so many good cosplays though. Like there was, if anybody's a fan of League of Legends, which is a game that I massively, obsessively play, there was a massive League of Legends meetup that was fantastic. So got some cool pictures with some of those guys.
There was a Disney princess meetup.
At the front door, really? A Disney, like, I would have loved to have seen. I don't think I've seen a Disney princess meetup.
Yeah, there was. It may have just been. Yeah, it was all Disney princesses. There were just a lot of Cinderellas,
except for
Ariel. Ariel was show stopping.
So Ariel was probably like this 6'4" guy, huge beard, and then like with the Ariel wig and like it was just
purple
so
seashells.
Funny. Yeah.
Oh God, I would have loved to have seen that. Ariel is so my favorite Disney princess, so I would love to have seen that.
Really?
Yeah, Ariel. You didn't know? Ariel's my favorite Disney princess. I love the Little Mermaid. I love.
Oh, that's a hot scoop.
That's a hot scoop right there, right? Oh, shockingly, I love a redhead, a feisty redhead. But I love the original tale. I love the animated movie. I love the live action movie. I'm obsessed with the story of the Little Mermaid in general.
Well, you can cosplay her and join the princess meetup.
Okay, wait, but tell me about the X-Men meetup you guys organized.
Yeah, so we organized a X-Men meetup, which is the first one that I've seen happen at MCM. And I got a lot of really great feedback from a lot of the cosplayers that did turn up. It was bigger than I expected, still small, but we got a pretty great turnout considering it was pouring with rain minutes before we were meant to start. We had a storm, we had a couple of Emma Frosts, we had a group that all did Hellfire Gala looks.
Oh yeah.
So we had an Iceman, a Sunfire, a Rogue, a Bishop, a there's only 4 of the 6. I know there were 2 more.
I sent
keep talking. I'm gonna look in the photos to see who it was.
Well, no, I sent the Rogue. I sent the Rogue to Lenore Zan, the voice of Rogue from X-Men and X-Men 97. And I had been talking to her earlier in the day, and she was talking about wanting to do, I hope I'm not spoiling something for her, but she wants to do like a Rogue inspired gala look. And I was like, you have to look at this one from MCM. And she was wild about that cosplayer. So shout out to that cosplayer.
Yeah, if you can screenshot that, I can send that to Lisa.art, I think her name is. She'll die.
Oh, well, we'll do that. Yes, absolutely.
Or tag her in a post.
Yeah. The other 2 were Psylocke and Magic.
Oh, that's right. You did see. I did see those. I did.
And Magic, like the sword was so good.
Oh,
like,
I know.
It was, the size of a person. It was just really, really cool.
Yeah, and we got 6 or 7 Wolverines. Always a popular choice, Wolverine.
Yeah.
Lots of them in the Deadpool 3 outfit. A lot of people got talking about how excited they are for Deadpool 3. And I think as X-Men fans, we're all excited for Deadpool 3 just to see some of our faves back again. 1 more time, or is it 2 more times with Secret Wars coming?
I think 2 more times with Secret Wars. The rumor mill is that anyone who's being signed on for Deadpool 3 will have an option for Secret Wars. So, all those contracts are negotiated individually. But I think Holly, James, and Famke, I think is a surefire bet they'll be in Deadpool 3, and we will see them continued in Secret Wars.
How crazy is the reveal about Halle Berry and the X-Men 3 script? How she was...
Oh, we have talked about that. That is nasty. And furthermore, because at the time, people thought Halle Berry was just being a big old diva. Yeah. She wants more screen. And actually, she just wanted Storm to be closer to the comics. And the studio was being greedy because they just wanted her name. And they were just giving her a fluffy script. It's infuriating. We've covered that on the podcast, Familia. So go check out that episode because I was at JFK at like 5 a.m. ranting about that. Yeah. It boils my blood. Because Halle Berry really truly cared about the character, and Halle Berry always played nice. She always returned for Storm. She even came in Days of Future Past, and I talked about this in the episode. Bryan Singer was in the audience when we were watching Days of Future Past, and when Storm died, everyone started applauding. And I was like, I remember thinking, like, oh man, the director's seeing that this is how much they hate the actor's interpretation of the character. And actually, Halle Berry was probably one of the first to sign up, who was adamant, who just wanted Storm to be respected. And it's just like, she was kind of like, I remember when Jennifer Lawrence started saying that she didn't want to be blue for X-Men Apocalypse and stuff like that. We were like, oh, it's another Halle Berry situation.
The role
where the actor thinks they're too good for the franchise. But in Halle Berry's case, not at all. She was trying to play game with everyone, and they were being duplicitous to her. So,
I mean, as a result, we do get the meme of Halle Berry Storm saying, "There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing to cure." And then you cut to the side where you've got mutants like Beak, Nightcrawler, all the strange-looking ones.
There was this Twisted Toy Fair. I don't know if you guys read Toy Fair magazine back in the day, but they used to get the action figures and do like a parody comic. And one of them was Kitty touring the mansion and her parents being like, wow, all the mutants here are so good looking. And it could have been Storm or someone else, or Xavier, who said, of course, if you're a mutant and you're an outcast, it means you're absolutely beautiful. And so like, mutants are always attractive.
Yeah, like you look at like Emma Frost, Jean Grey, Cyclops, Wolverine, Colossus,
even Gambit, Nightcrawler. Even Nightcrawler. People have such a boner for Nightcrawler. It's hysterical.
Can we also loop back to something that I've been wondering? When you record at an airport, Dayspring, can you paint the picture? Are you like sitting in a corner of like, in the lounge? Are you at the gate, like sitting by the window, secretly like whispering into your audio?
No, I'm so loud. And actually, what you probably don't see is when I cut, when someone comes behind me and they start talking, I literally just get up, I look at them really angrily, and I move my equipment somewhere else.
How fun would it be, right? If you're just a passenger and you just pass somebody going, and I swear that Nate Gray with Madeline Pryor is not incest, so help me God, she's a clone, he's made from DNA.
It's just, if I don't record it, here's the thing that happens, and this is what happened with our episode with you, Chris. So Familia, again, we had an episode with Chris and it got corrupted. If I don't record that...
The lost episodes.
The lost episode right there.
Yeah.
One day in the future, we'll figure out how to like save these files. But if I don't record then and there and drop it, the episode A won't get done because another news item will come up, or B, it'll sit in our folder, and then something will happen. Either I'll lose my laptop or I'll get a cyber attack and the files will be corrupted.
Because you know what? He's still sitting on episode 2 of X-Men Dungeons and Dragons. That was recorded almost a year ago now. So
that is part of the files that have been slain, sadly.
And that podcast you did with Chris Evans exonerating you.
Thank you. You're absolutely right. That episode with Chris Evans, I had it. So no, man, I would have emailed that to myself. I would have put that on the cloud. That would have been fine. But okay, wait. Let's wrap up MCM. So you would recommend MCM? It's a good time. It's not New York or San Diego. Sure, fine, but very few cons are. But this was a great experience if you're in London.
Absolutely. A great experience with great people. Everyone's got something that they're super passionate about. And that's the thing I really loved the most and got the most out of. Speaking to, other X-Men fans who are so passionate about what's coming up. and they just want to see more, and that's what we all want to see. That's why we're here now. We just want to see more X-Men, talk more X-Men, be more X-Men in all of our cosplays.
Latvarian Lad, as official
Yes.
co-host of Power of X.
Well, yeah, I would
What is
say,
your
you know,
official? This is going to be the soundbite for the MCM people to grant us a press pass for the
oh, right.
fall one.
Okay.
So-
So if it's the official soundbite, it is fantastic. It's amazing. Get a weekend pass. Book at an affiliate hotel so that it can get some affiliate money from that. You know, buy from all the booths.
Get some MCM bucks that are only redeemable at the MCM food truck.
Yeah.
That's not real.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
it's a good it's a good time. So if you are planning to visit London or you are in London, you know, definitely make it you know, coordinate a trip to coincide with one of them.
All right. Well, Familia Go, MCM, May and October. Hopefully we'll make it out there eventually. I mean, you've sold me on the May one. I would have gone to the May one, but we were doing construction at
Yeah.
our place. But we're 100% going to be there in the future.
Well, I think when we were in New York, Hammy, Scott, and I, when we were out,
Yeah.
having had a few drinks, I'm pretty sure there were like, you know, in the moment of having had a few cocktails in New York, like, yeah, we're gonna fly to MCM in London, da 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 da. You know, whether it happens or not, I'm not gonna hold my breath, but hey.
Well, I'd hope so, because then we'd have, you know, 3 generations of cosplay growth there. So my first cosplay was an Iceman cosplay that I modeled after Michael Hamm's cosplay.
Oh shit, he's a hammy stan.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I learned it. That's where I got it. Because I thought,
And
he
then-
looks hot in that. I can look hot in that.
Yeah. And then my Cyclops was based off of Chris's Cyclops that he did at MCM, where I saw a year before. So that actually makes Hammy my cosplay granddad.
Well, he does
That
look
old
like a
bitch, yeah.
grandfather. That he does look a little haggard, doesn't he? Just joking. He's beautiful.
Maybe we'll need to do a Corsair, Cyclops, and Cable trio.
Yes.
So he would be Corsair. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, Nerd Alert Jason already does a fabulous Corsair.
Yeah.
So maybe we bring
Yeah.
in him. Yeah, I mean, I think Hammy could pull off Corsair too. It's just Hammy looks very young.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that bitch is like 80 years old, but like she looks so young because she's a vampire and she steals youth from everyone else.
We can swap around roles. You know. I need
Yeah.
to do something new anyway.
You actually would probably be able to pull off a good Corsair because you have that palette. I mean, you look very young yourself, but you have the beard and you have the brunette hair.
yeah,
you
I
probably
can
could
dye
do-
in my mustache a little bit. It's a bit too ginger and blonde, so it doesn't actually look like much most of the time.
I'm too young. I can't grow facial hair.
I mean, same. I can't grow. I'm middle aged and I can't grow facial hair. It's horrible. Womp womp. It's all the Botox. Botox does not let for facial hair to grow up. It's all the filler
blocks the
Botox.
hair follicles.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
MCM, it was fabulous. It was great. And is there anything else you want to say, Sean?
No, I was gonna say let's get into learning more about Chris, because there, you know, I will say anytime we're in a photo together, Chris, I get so many DMs interested in your cosplay. You know, the
They're
internet,
interested in his cosplay.
yeah, the internet is
Cosplay.
definitely behind Christopher.
It's the yellow
Cosplay.
underwear I wear in the cosplay. It's all padding. That's an exclusive. That's an exclusive.
Oh.
And watch as his follower count drops overnight. No.
Wait, I do have to ask, because that particular cosplay that you have for Cable, I love it so much because it is a Marvel versus Capcom suit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's originated in the comics, so Familia, don't come after me, but it is amongst stands. We are always going to think of Marvel versus Capcom. Is that what inspired it, or did you just happen to really love the comic?
It was partly I loved that costume and I loved the Marvel Capcom game, but also out of laziness because I had done Cyclops before and I knew I needed something where I could reuse that blue undersuit again just to get the most out of my money, even though I probably would have worn Cyclops quite a few more times and gotten my money's worth of that. So I created this foam harness belt for Cyclops originally. And when I decided to do Cable, I was then able to hack this up and Marge Simpson my way into making it a 2-strapped.
Okay, Bitch, don't think I don't know that reference. Marge with the Chanel suit.
Yeah.
I love that so much. We always make Simpson references here on the podcast.
Yeah, it's perfect. So instead of looking like Lisa dressing up as Florida, I can.
It was so sad. Like, oh, poor Homer. Like, I mean, she's not wrong with Florida, but. And like her holding like the orange in her mouth, that was hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to hear like a really fun tidbit? We're still, oh man, we lost this interview because it's part of what was corrupted. But we have an interview with Lawrence Bain, who's the voice of Cable. And not only did he return for Marvel versus Capcom, but he also was the announcer for Marvel versus Capcom. So when the announcer is like, I thought I almost had a heart attack.
Oh my God.
That's the voice of Cable who does it as well, Lawrence Bain, who occasionally listens to the podcast. So if he's listening, shout out to you, Lawrence.
Hi, Lawrence. I
Go ahead up
as your
Christopher.Cosplay.
character.
Yeah.
But so what? I have so many questions swirling in my head right now, but I want to know what brought you to cosplaying. Can you walk us through your fandom? Probably where did you start off learning about the X-Men and when you decided I want to cosplay?
So I've always been a huge X-Men fan, stemming from the original animated series, X-Men Evolution, Wolverine and the X-Men, and also the video games X-Men Legends 1 and 2. I played to death in my teen years. I then got a X-Men coffee table book that had a compendium of every single character that had been mentioned up until probably about 2006, 2005.
Yeah.
And I would just pore over that every day, learning all of the facts about these new characters. I was actually quite late getting into the comics, and as every good X-Men fan, my first comic was probably like issue 17 of The End, so where I didn't understand anything that was going on, but I knew I loved it. And that's how every X-Men fan should start. Not with a comprehensive story.
Chris, you are like our X-Men comic soulmate here. I've always argued this because editorial is so obsessed, like Marvel editorial is always so obsessed with starting on points for new readers. It's like, no, if you're a diehard fan, if you're going to grow up to be these crazy obsessed fans, you're just going to pick up an issue and you're going to love it, and it doesn't matter where the story's at.
I agree.
And also, editors,
no idea what was happening, but girl, I was living.
Yeah. Nowadays, you just Wikipedia to catch up.
I agree.
So don't worry about starter points because we have the internet.
Yes, and by the way, but that's what I agree with you. You have Wikipedia, and your natural curiosity will take you to those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this whole like start and stop that they do with editorial, relaunching the book, starting at number 1 again. It works for like 2 issues, and that's it. And I don't think sales at this point are so big that you can justify doing that over and over again. No. But okay, so that's, you picked up a random issue. I wanted to pull on 2 threads. One, the companion book you're talking about, was it the DK ones that like Wolverine's on the cover and it's super huge? I love those. I too had those in the early aughts. And
next time I go back to New Zealand, I'm going to bring it back in my luggage. It was just too heavy last time I came over.
It's not even worth it. Let me tell you something. I think they're $5.99 on Amazon. Just Amazon it for like, I know, because they're irrelevant. Because everything gets updated so quickly now with Wikipedia. But secondly, we love X-Men Legends here. We've interviewed the directors for X-Men Legend 1, 2, and Ultimate Alliance. Those games are next level.
Insane. The story in them, where they tie together so many of the storylines, is awesome. And it's just like, why can't the movies just do 3 chapters of that per movie?
Do you know the third one was supposed to be Onslaught? I'm so upset about that. I mean, Onslaught's our favorite. Well, my favorite. I'm not going to speak for Sean. My favorite X-villain. And I would have loved for them to have done Onslaught.
What I loved is that they just did so much in each game, but not too much. Like the first game is just up to Asteroid M. And then they didn't bring Apocalypse into the first one. They gave you that cutscene at the end to tease the second game, and then you got Apocalypse, and can we talk
the real X-Men game is X-Men on Sega Genesis, or for those of you in Europe, Mega Drive. Those are the real X-Men games, and then you do the code, so you have infinite mutant power, and you can just take Nightcrawler and teleport across the map over and over and over.
Okay, first of all, Sean, you weren't even born when that game came out. A, and B, I used to throw myself off like the stage because you know who picks you up when you fall off the stage. It's Jean Grey who telekinetically lifts you up. And I used to throw myself over. I never really truly finished the game until I was an adult playing it on like a simulator.
That and the arcade game is a classic. And you know what? Okay, so I mean, you can't see it, but over there in the corner of my room, my husband and I were like, "Oh, should we get a big arcade kind of system?" There's these things that you can buy, and it comes with like 1,000 games on it.
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
a retro arcade thing, and the X-Men game was one of them. And I was like, "Ooh, that could kind of be cool," but I feel it's going to look a little, I don't know, not
I
match the decor. So I've
this
opted out of it.
this is going to be really contentious. I'm not the biggest X-Men arcade stan. I know, but I much prefer they have a Marvel versus Capcom one, and those are the ones I prefer. It's not that I don't like the X-Men arcade game. It's just, you know, there's some other ones. There's Captain America and the Avengers that you can play as Namor and Hawkeye, and I tend to enjoy that one a little bit more. I don't know.
It's a shame we didn't
That's
get
a
to
hot take.
play in New York when we went to the
Oh
game
no,
bar.
we
Because
did play. We did
yeah,
play
I
at
know.
Barcade. I
I
wonder what
didn't
happened.
play.
Where was someone? Someone was MIA.
One too many martinis, and I went home before we
Eugene Gray
played.
fainted.
My
Eugene Gray
Jean
Gray
Grey
fainted.
fainted very much so.
That
Yeah,
was one crazy afternoon at Soho House.
yeah. Oh God.
Said no one ever. But anyways,
Yeah.
okay, so video games, comics, and that's sort of where your fandom started,
Yeah, but
festering.
I'm going to say it actually probably started with Pokemon. And now that's an interesting thread. So with Pokemon, something about it I just got obsessed with as a child. And because there was so many different Pokemon with so many different powers, different abilities, I think the natural progression for me was then to step into X-Men, where there were all of these different characters who had all of these different abilities and all of these different powers. And so I sort of drew a parallel between the two and shifted my fandom from one to the other.
All right, Chris, Dayspring. If you
Yes.
had 3 Pokemon, who would be your 3 Pokemon?
Okay, I have 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Go.
have 3.
All right, you go first, Chris, because you're the guest.
Yeah, Blastoise.
Okay.
Because I need to be able to swim, need to be able to surf, and he's much more powerful than Lapras. Steelix, the 2nd gen Onyx, just because I think he looks so cool, even though he's ridiculously depowered if you've got the right Pokemon against him. And finally, I have to go with the classic Pidgeot.
Okay.
Pidgeot
Pidgeot,
from
my
left
favorite flying
field.
type. Yeah,
Wow.
because I want to be
Wow.
able to fly, and I know that I could ride it.
Cool.
Bueno, ya tú sabes.
Yeah, yeah, to some is indeed. Dayspring, what about you?
I would do Gengar, Clefairy, and Pikachu. Those would be my
Gengar and Clefairy, not Clefable.
not Clefable, Clefairy, not Clefable, Clefairy.
But is that
Gengar.
because when Clefable dies, it becomes Gengar?
Oh, does it? Is that the rumor? I don't know the myth too much on there. I didn't know really.
There's mythos. So the design
I
of the
love-
two is very similar.
Oh,
There's a
I
lot
love
of
that.
conjecture as to Gengar being the dark twin of Clefable.
Ooh.
Oh, I love that.
Deep
No, I just
Pokemon
naturally-
lore.
I love that. You got to hear from the Leon Power of X-Men. And you know what? Maybe I'd swap one of them out for Mew. I do like Mew quite a bit. I do like a good
Too
ethereal
overpowered though.
character.
You can't have legendary. And you
Yeah.
No legendary. Okay, fine. So
Yeah.
then I stick to those 3: Clefairy, Mew, and Gengar. What about you?
I
Sean?
would do Kadabra.
Okay.
Not
I do love
Alakazam.
Kadabra.
I
I
don't
do
like
love
it when
Kadabra.
Yeah, I like the 2nd evolution.
Yeah, I don't like it when he has his spoons and his beard.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
When he's
Kadabra,
daddy.
I'd have Machamp, and I'd have don't give me that look, Christopher.
I know what you'd have, Matchup.
And I think Scyther is my 3rd one.
Oh, that's nice.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like psychic Pokemon. So I would
Yeah.
have I would revise for Abra.
I mean, as a kid watching the show, Sabrina was the best gym leader.
Oh, I
she
love
was so
Sabrina.
hot. She was
Yeah.
so cool. Oh my god, yeah.
We're gonna veer off now, but I was obsessed with Brock. I had the biggest crush on Brock when I was like 12.
Lieutenant Surge. Also, big shout out to Arc9.
Yeah.
Big fire dog. Yeah, it'd be nice.
Well, stay tuned for more of our Pokemon chat on our spin-off show, Power of Pokemon.
Power of Pokemon. Okay. All right, so Pokemon, obviously, that makes sense. And by the way, we've talked about Pokemon in the context of X-Men because X-Men Evolution actually surpassed Pokemon in ratings, and that's because we had Stephen Gordon on the podcast, who is one of the showrunners for X-Men Evolution. He theorizes because they were able to capture the girls' market, where Pokemon was predominantly at the time a male audience.
I'm loving all of those clips coming up of the mirrored animations next to the live action influence, like Kitty and Rogue dancing.
Oh yeah,
being Buffy and Faith at the Bronze, or Scarlet Witch being Fairuza Balk. I forget how.
Yeah. No, 100%.
In the Craft, there's that influence. There's certain scenes that are exactly the same.
It's 100%. So they were fans of. That's how they were able to, put those nods there. They were fans of Buffy. They were fans of the Craft, and they really did take time to think of those characters and how they would, be in real life. And at the time, those were obviously teen genre. Okay, so who is your favorite X character then?
My favorite X character that I instantly connected with was always Iceman, and that was before he was gay, which I think is fantastic move, makes a lot of sense,
and it's always been there for the character. The subtext has always been there,
and there's the queer coding in the second X film as well, which was again before the character had come out, where the mother's like, have you tried not being a mutant?
Mama Dre.
I always Iceman, and that was why that was the first one I wanted to cosplay, because I loved that character so much. Always loved the idea of having ice powers myself. Anytime I eat an ice cube and breathe out mist out of my mouth, that's exactly what I think. Like, I'm Iceman.
I was obsessed with the scene where Rogue and him are kissing, and Anna Paquin goes, yeah, like that. I used to do that when I was kissing boys at that age. Like the biggest, because I thought that's what you did. But no, I think Iceman is a character. It's funny. I was listening to someone who I really like, and they're very progressive. And they were like, oh, but Iceman's not that popular anymore. And I was like, are you?
He's more popular?
He's more popular now than he was even back then. I think the X-Men probably in the comics right now aren't as mainstream as they were in the 90s, but the Iceman character, the IP amongst fans right now, it's extremely popular, and he has his own solo book. And I think, him always sort of being in the background and having his humor masking something larger that he's dealing with, may have made him a little bit more intriguing. But I think now that he's out and proud and front and center, it's great.
Yeah.
Who's your least favorite character, Chris?
There's only one answer.
Let's see if you've done the research.
Let's see.
If you come on this podcast, you need to do your research for this answer.
Beast.
There you go.
I was gonna say, he said he knew a lot about the X-Men Evolution interview on the X-Men Legends, so you've done your research a little bit.
Yeah,
but you're hanging around with this guy, so
I would also say Marrow. Marrow is a least favorite.
Really?
Only because of Wolverine and the X-Men. She has this. She's in the Days of Future Past storyline.
Yeah, she is.
And she has this connection with the Sentinel, which is lovely, but she gets the team into so much trouble.
Yeah.
All the time, because she doesn't listen.
And that connection with the Sentinel is actually a homage to Tom Skylark in Here Comes Tomorrow, where he had Rover. And that's one of my favorite X-Men stories. I mean, bravo, Chris. And here I thought you were just going to be a pretty face, and you actually, your deep cuts right there.
No, I like my X-Men. I did like playing as Marrow in X-Men Legends 2, or is it 1 that she's in?
She wasn't in either, but you're probably thinking of her in Marvel versus. I mean, she wasn't playable in them, but she was playable in Marvel versus Capcom.
I remember throwing the bones.
Let's see. Oh, you're probably You're probably thinking.
No, she is definitely in one of the fighting games, because I can remember she throws it like a boomerang, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's in Marvel versus Capcom, but she's not in the Legend. Wait, did you say X-Men Legends or Marvel versus Capcom?
X-Men Legends.
She's not in X-Men Legends.
She's a boss in X-Men Legends.
Yeah, she's a boss, but she's not playable. She's playable in the Marvel versus Capcom, and that's what you're probably thinking of with her, like doing that.
Yeah.
So, Chris, speaking of cosplay, which is what you're quite known for, so you started with Iceman, which you
Yes.
haven't seen actually since you debuted it ages ago. You then transitioned to Cyclops, which pretty much put you on the map and got you a lot of notoriety for that one. I mean, I stole it. A number of people have messaged me to steal it. So anybody who's wearing a good Cyclops cosplay, you have Chris to thank for it.
I got I got a lot of inspiration from this Chris Jones geek, who is a UK nerd, and he used the blue bodysuit. And that's where I was like, I can do this. I can take the blue bodysuit, and then I made the harness and foam belt myself, the visor myself, and that I think added a little bit of extra flair.
Zhuzh.
Yeah, a little bit of Jewish. So it's not all entirely my idea, because I mean, I think there's been so many of them now. But I was lucky enough that when I debuted it in May Comic-Con 2022, I got a little article written about me by Screen Rant. Ever heard of it? I don't know.
Oh yeah, of course. That's huge, man.
Yeah, it was a big surprise, and it was shared to me by someone I'd run into the con who had also cosplayed as Cyclops, and he didn't get written about.
Oh.
Oh, womp womp. It
Yeah,
happens.
so-
Screen Rant doesn't seem to have any agenda other than they see something that's really great and awesome and they write about it. So it's not, for those who don't make it in, it's not testament to anything.
But I was super flattered, and yeah, it seemed to come out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, I got a flurry of followers to my regular human person account. So it wasn't until actually this year when I decided to create a specific cosplay Instagram account and try and port some followers over that way. Not that I hate having cosplay posts on my everyday feed all the time, but it's like I'd like to have things organized. I'm the kind of person that has a spreadsheet for every cosplay character I have, where I've gotten every piece of the outfit and how much I paid for it. So
You sound
Oh, no, I
like
can
a one
attest.
demanded Martini.
Because when I messaged Chris to ask advice on how to make it, the Cyclops cosplay, I mean, he literally sent a spreadsheet with links to everything you need to buy, instructions. I was like, wow, this is the most useful answer I think I could have wished for. So
look, I have a bad habit of destroying my cosplays, so I need to know how to make them again.
Yeah.
So
For example, Iceman I don't have anymore because the jacket was ruined by the end of the day. So I thought, this is horrible, I'm getting rid of it. And then because I had painted the trousers in the same way to match the top, I then decided to ditch the trousers as well.
so we won't be seeing Iceman anytime soon, then, is what you're saying.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think he's due for a reappearance. There are a few X-Men I have in my little.
So
Maybe,
this is the long-winded version of my question, because we never actually got to the point of my question, which was, what is next on your list, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Tell us.
So I've got MegaCon coming up in January. So I either reuse Cable again, but I don't know if my hair can take that much white hairspray and regular hairspray and silver wax in it all in one go. It just,
I mean, you have beautiful hair. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin your beautiful
at the
hair.
moment, yes, thank you. So there's that. So either him again or I do Iceman again, which old-fashioned nerd did recently, and he gave me some advice. The one-piece suit, instead of doing the film black leather version, which I did before, based on Hammy's wonderful one. Thinking about doing a Havoc to keep the summer's trend going along. Thinking
Yeah.
of doing
Goblin Prince, right?
Sorry?
The Goblin Prince Havoc?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You need to wait. Has anyone ever done the Goblin Prince
Oh, there
Havoc
must be some
cosplay? There
Instagram
has to have been
talent.
someone.
Yeah.
No, there really isn't. I'm Googling it right now. There's not. I'm not seeing any. Oh, I'm seeing one. Oh no. Oh. This is a Paul Walker. Someone photoshopped Paul Walker, the Goblin Prince.
R.I.P. Let him rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
Like, sorry, Paul Walker. Goes to Paul Walker. You should totally do. I have not seen a Goblin Prince, at least properly done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably not super appropriate to do at a convention with like
exactly
tons of kids running around.
Yeah, it can get a little. There's that line of too sexy and
Yeah.
and family friendly, you know.
Yeah.
So additionally, then there's the '90s Havoc look with the leather jacket.
Oh, I love that one. That would you have the hair to do that one.
I would love to do that one. I've got a Wolverine in the pipeline. Sean's been advising me on how to do a animated series, original Wolverine with the blue boots. Because everyone is doing the Deadpool 3 Wolverine at the moment, so it's nice to do something different. But my biggest dream, and it's a project that it's going to take all of my time and all of my willpower to actually achieve, is to do a Sentinel. Obviously, I've seen some of the big Sentinel builds, like the Brothers Yi and Hummin 2 recently has incredible.
Oh, I love Hummit. Like everything he I've pronounced it hum in my head, so I don't know what the appropriate
human.
It could be something like that, but he does insane builds, so incredibly talented. Same with Heroes for Hire cosplay. I mean, every time they pop up on my feed. I mean, they're very different cables that you guys do, but he pours a lot into it, much like you guys do as well. And it's always such a pleasure to see. I feel like cable cosplayers just get it, you know, like you guys understand. Like if you're going to do cable, you're into it. Like you're really into the cosplay, and you guys nail it.
Yeah, I'd like to upskill my makeup skills a lot more. So doing something like Nightcrawler would be a great challenge. Different shades of blue, right? Because you want to do some contouring as well.
Yeah, Nightcrawler looks like it's a challenge.
And it's a hard one, because didn't you say, like, wasn't it Namor Cosplay that at WonderCon did Colossus? Did like a fantastic Colossus, but it was all body paint, wasn't it? I mean,
it's tough.
I just had, like, at Halloween last year, I had a makeup artist do my face for Captain Planet, and just the face took.
Hero gonna take
pollution down to zero.
Copyright, can't say that.
Yeah. And now before I mean, just getting the face done took like an hour and a half. So I cannot imagine an entire body like to that caliber, right? Because everything was like, you know, the muscles were shaded, like everything was really well done. That's my issue with makeup, is like, if you know, even just the face, you gotta
I did the scar for cable, and my hand was just like,
it's tough. I shared with Namor Cosplay at WonderCon last year, and he was up at 6 a.m. for, I want to say, I don't know if it was Colossus. He was up. It was either Colossus or, oh my God, Ronin. There we go. I was going to say, who was it? Nimrod. Ronin.
Yeah.
He was in that makeup chair for a long time, and clearly I hate being woken up, and my patience is like zero, and I like come out, I'm like looking at him. It's a commitment. It is a commitment, but I'm sure you're going to do Colossus. You'll be fine.
I'd love to do Colossus, but I can't. I'm not tall enough for it to be as impressive as it could be, I think.
You just get the high heel boots.
Get those high heel boots. You could be sassy Colossus. You can be musical theater Colossus.
Colossus and its Technicolor dream coat.
Yes, that would be incredible. Okay, wait. What is your favorite X-Men storyline?
I really enjoyed the Ecstatics comic.
Oh my God, yes!
So much. It's so dark yet so light, and dupe.
And that's Peter Milligan at his peak. And I feel like Milligan, unfortunately, when he would write the main X books, just couldn't nail what he nailed with Ecstatic, and it was so good.
Because to me it was an all new team. There were very little references to the X-Men team that I knew and loved from all of the mainstream, and so that was really nice just to get some that hadn't been featured as much. I loved it, and the whole there's a whole reality TV angle to it.
And don't forget Diana Spencer, who was originally supposed to be based off of Princess Diana, and they're like, "Whoops, we're gonna have to change this." So
really?
They were gonna do a character that was Princess Diana, and they were like, "Whoops, wait, maybe this isn't the best idea." I forgot what it was. I want to say it was a copyright issue, but that doesn't make any sense because she would be a public figure. So maybe it was a legal issue in general. But they changed it to a character with black hair, and her name is Diana Spencer.
No.
Yeah, well,
probably for the best.
But I'm telling you, man, Peter Milligan just what an incredible writer. I mean, truly ecstatic. That is a deep cut. I wasn't expecting you to say that. That is no, I mean, no, but no one ever talks about ecstatic. I think Scott has talked about ecstatic, and
it's probably the comic run that I have actually read the entirety of.
wow.
Because I had the big fat book, the big red hardcover book that had every copy in it. And that's how I like to read my comics. I like to have the whole story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't like reading them issue by issue. Because
I love issue by issue.
Oh, I'm issue by issue. I hate trade
issue by
paperbacks.
issue. It's too. I want to know what's happening too much, too quickly.
Oh, I love that.
I was gonna say, are you the type then that on Netflix you wait for a show to be fully released and then you watch it back to back, or do you watch it?
Yes.
Okay.
Like the Traitors recently coming out. I wait for all of that to come out and watch it all.
So are you not watching Loki then?
I am watching Loki. That I will do week after week because part of that is the mystery surrounding it and then the online community chatter about what's coming next. That's what I love so much about WandaVision.
Oh, WandaVision was great.
Like lockdown as well, so everyone was really focused on it. And
I'll never forget. I went to go see our interior designer at Timothy Olton in Paramus, New Jersey, and this is like at the height of lockdown. And WandaVision had just aired the first 2 episodes, and we walked in, and there are these like New Yorkers there, just wanting to get out of their apartments, and everyone was talking about WandaVision. And I was like, that is the power of Marvel right now, or Elizabeth Olsen, because Elizabeth Olsen deserves all the fucking credit in the world for delivering such a wonderful performance.
And Catherine Hahn.
What?
Yeah.
And Catherine Hahn.
Oh yeah, Catherine Hahn. Oh my god. Oh my god. I saw Catherine Hahn at Bodega in LA and I went crazy. And I went up to her. I was like, I love you so much.
But do you have a picture to prove this?
I do have a picture. No one questioned it.
Is it blurry?
Oh, it is.
Was it Ben Affleck?
As clear as it was. It Ben Affleck. Yes, it was Ben Affleck. I got mistaken. Wait, let me see if I can find the photo here. It would have been May 2021. But she was incredible. They were both so incredible, and what a
Marvel
wonderful
TV
show.
hasn't been better than that.
Yeah, I agree.
Sean and I were supposed to watch Loki episode
Loki
2, but we just didn't. And then I started watching it, and when they got to the McDonald's scene at the end, I just like hit pause and went to bed, and I have not come back to it.
Have you not watched episode 3 or?
I have not. I'm not caught up. I'm not caught up.
I am up to date, but I still have no idea what is happening. But I like.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. Yeah. Chris's husband and I were like saying, like, we're enjoying it. I have no clue of what's going on, but so Dayspring, why don't you catch up, and with the 3 of us can do a review of the first 4 episodes.
I will 100% do that
and do the final.
Oh yeah.
Is it? Wait, how many episodes is it?
6, I think, is 10, which is so silly. These series need to be longer than 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, although
right there, bitches.
I could have.
We don't see it.
There's a face mask. You can't tell.
Do you have blonde hair in that video?
I did. Photo? I was going through a crisis.
Swing in a crisis.
Yeah.
Well, I love the. Oh my god, what's his name? Hulk. I love his meme where it's like, joke's on you. I'm always in a crisis. Yeah.
So speaking of WandaVision, are you guys excited for the Agatha show? Because I feel like there's a lot of negative rhetoric around it, and I don't get it because I look at the cast. I think it looks like, I mean, obviously I don't know much about it because they haven't really released too much, but just based on the cast, based on how she portrayed Agatha, I'm so excited for that show. I don't know why people.
WandaVision's a show for the girls and the gays.
Yeah.
So I think the main Marvel fans, or the ones that don't want it to be so woke, are not into it. But I'm so here for it. I mean, Aubrey Plaza, Patti LuPone, and always a pleasure to see Emma Caulfield back from her Buffy days. What a treat that was in the first season of WandaVision.
Everyone thought that Emma Caulfield was going to be Mephisto, and no shade to you, Emma Caulfield. If you are listening and ever want to come on the podcast, you're welcome. But I was like, it can't be. She's not going to be Mephisto. They would have hired someone a bit more
famous
of a name to play Mephisto or to be a dupe. But I loved Emma Caulfield. But the tea here with what's going on with Agatha is. On the Scooper community, if you guys want some vague general spoilers, they're saying that Wiccan isn't going to age up like we saw him in WandaVision. Instead, his soul is going to go into a comatose teen's body who's Joe Locke. And so
Okay.
that's where people are like, wait a minute, like he's
Yeah.
going to possess a comatose teen. Was he always LGBT? You know, is this?
Oh.
I think most people will just want him to age up like he did in WandaVision. That was one of them. And two, the big thing is Elizabeth Olsen. People want Elizabeth Olsen to be in this show. And it's supposed to be an adaptation of Children's Crusade, which is a huge story. It's a huge story in the comics. And people are worried that they're just going to fly through it like they did with Secret Invasion.
What does it have to do with Agatha? Because Children's Crusade with the Young
Has
Avengers,
nothing to do with her.
It had Doctor Doom in it.
Yeah.
So, if they want to do that, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just don't see.
I mean, they can incorporate her in. I mean, she's Franklin Richards' nanny. She can be a nanny to the Young Avengers.
I would have loved it if they would have relaunched the Fantastic Four and then like they're a family in it and Wanda comes in and there's Catherine Hahn, Agatha.
The post-credit scene, Sue Storm is pregnant and they open the door to the new nanny and she goes, "Hiya, kids.
Hi, kids, I'm here." That's what I would have loved to have seen. But I think the negative rhetoric is not so much that we didn't love Catherine Hahn, but Marvel's approach to it. It doesn't sound like it's going to be pretty stable. But
I think it was people just saying like, "Oh, this like we don't need a show about this. We don't need a show about this character."
Really?
But I mean, equally, like think back to Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I knew who they were because I read the comics. Yeah. But I mean, even then, I was like, "Really? They're making an IP over this?" Like. A little surprised, and I don't know. Anything with witches, and like you said, the casting is like very musical theatery. Like it's going to be fabulous.
It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be fun, and of course, it's going to be a certain audience that's going to gravitate towards Catherine Hahn's campy performance. The only thing I'm going to say about WandaVision, though, my good friend in real life, like my best bro friend Phil, he was so into WandaVision, and he's usually a good cultural sample. He's straight, he's married, he has a kid. And I know something's taken off when he's obsessed with it. And he's a big Star Wars person, very, very meticulous with the Star Wars stuff. And he was all into WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Loki. He was into all three of those episodes.
I really enjoyed Hawkeye. Hawkeye was really fun too.
I enjoyed Hawkeye too. I don't think it has the evergreen rewatchability that something like Home Alone probably has. And I think that's what Marvel was trying to.
We're coming to Christmas. We could watch it again.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't see a lot of people saying that they're watching it again. And that's where it's like, oh, are they going to make a Disney classic in that regard? But I feel WandaVision was able to get everyone, as I said, like walking into Timothy Oulton that I forgot Friday, Saturday morning, whenever it was. And everyone just talking about WandaVision. I mean, that is pretentious New Yorkers trying to get a discount on furniture. Like it's talking about WandaVision. That is a sight to be held. It was really cool.
Back to X-Men. I think they've really missed a trick with where they're building the MCU now, when they could have had a post-credit scene of Mojo sitting in his TV room in the Mojoverse, and he gets those cosmic rays of WandaVision flash up before him. And then he goes, "What is this?" Becomes obsessed like all we do. And he captures Wanda. And we recreate the storyline from Wolverine and the X-Men where Wanda and Nightcrawler are trying to escape the Mojoverse.
I said the exact same thing when we were covering WandaVision. I said, someone's broadcasting it. It's going to be Mojo. It has to be Mojo. If I was on the production team, they dropped the ball. WandaVision did drop the ball on a couple of things with, who was the astrophysicist? That was a dead end. That was, everyone was obsessed with it. And it seemed like such a weird misstep that Kevin Feige would have allowed. And I think they should have had Mojo. Mojo would have been fantastic for it. But wait, guys, because we can go down a WandaVision rabbit hole. I have been talking to a couple people who have been sending me heart eyes on the photos we've posted about you and your takeover of our Instagram. Can I say some of these questions? Can I ask you guys some of these?
Go ahead.
Okay. So this one's for you, Chris. What's your favorite, most beautiful place in New Zealand, North or South Island? And this comes from Rod Baxter.
Wow. There are so many beautiful places in New Zealand. I I can't say Hobbiton. That was my partner's favorite place in New Zealand until we got engaged in New Zealand. So that's his favorite moment in New Zealand. But probably the place I have loved the most is the Coromandel. It's a collection of little beach towns dotted around a little peninsula, about an hour and a half out of Auckland City. Every beach is beautiful. Every view is stunning. At nighttime, you can see so many stars unencumbered by the light pollution from the cities. I spent a lot of summers there growing up. Actually, that was where I read the entirety of Ecstatics.
And then Rod continues, what's the comics scene like in New Zealand?
So there's a couple of stores, comic book stores in New Zealand, but it is
in the country. Small. There's only a couple in the country.
The comic book scene in New Zealand is very, very small. A lot of it is online, and a lot of it is where you'll meet people at places like Armageddon. There's a couple of really great stores like Heroes for Sale on K Road or Karangahape Road. And then there's another one in St. Kevin's Arcade in Auckland City, just down the road from there, where I picked up my first X-Men comics for about $3.
Yeah.
Secondhand comic store. It's fantastic. But yeah, the scene is very, very small. From what I remember of my con days back then, not too many people actually dressed up for Armageddon. That may have changed in recent years as the popularity of cosplay has risen throughout the world.
And you would think that somewhere like New Zealand, it would be like a comic, mecca because of Lord of the Rings. It's like a mecca. It's like it's holy ground there. Like you would imagine that like there would be a little bit more cosplay and stuff like that. That's curious.
Yeah, there is usually a lot of Lord of the Rings cosplay, but I think that's
fair enough.
Mostly due to going on tours to say Weta Workshop, where they created a lot of the wonderful things in Lord of the Rings, or taking it to one of the beautiful, beautiful places that you can see that are actually real places, which is quite sad what they've done now with Rings of Power Season 2. They've taken it from filming in New Zealand to filming it in the UK, which is, I guess, is closer to how Tolkien envisioned it, but New Zealand is Middle Earth and always will be.
Yes, that is a mic drop right there. Okay, Sean, this next question is for you. Someone asked, and they asked to remain anonymous, which Cyclops look would you also cosplay as? Like, so what other costume would you do?
Okay, so
you like the cowl with the condom head?
No.
Wait, what do you usually say about masks?
No.
Wait, what do you usually say about masks?
I don't want to wear masks in cons because it's uncomfortable, and I don't want to breathe into it the entire con day.
That is not what you say, but that's fine.
Jeez. What we learned with the Cyclops visor is that you get this on the bridge of the nose.
And my bullseye helmet squeezes into the temples, so after about like an hour, I had a massive roaring headache. But going back to the question at hand, I don't plan to do any other version of Cyclops imminently. If I did, I think Phoenix Force Cyclops is a great costume. So I'd love to do that one. And if I was ever to be at like WonderCon for the Hellfire Walk and I could have someone sew it for me, I think the Cyclops Hellfire look from a few years back, which was very like Ballman inspired with the cape. Yeah, like the kimono cape outfit, which is so cool.
Oh, I love that
but one. It's such a niche cosplay that you're like, I'd have it built for the walk. You'd end up paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds and be like, well, that was done after 4 minutes. So
just learn how to make it yourself. I learned how to sew making this.
Yeah, I'm that girl on Drag Race that'd be like, I'm here with my glue gun and some prayers.
You can just get a Jedi robe and visors and just do that. Yeah.
So I think Phoenix Force would be the next one I'd do, but he's not. No other version of Cyclops is on my list to date.
All right. So in our last episode, we asked you to shag, marry, avoid. I'm sorry, snog, marry, avoid. Wait, I don't even know what snog means.
Snogging is like kissing with tongue.
Okay, snog, avoid, marry Jesus. The internet.
Well, I'll marry Jesus then.
Okay, you'll marry Jesus. Okay, Cyclops, Cable, or Strife.
Oh. I have to avoid strife.
That's your twin brother, technically.
Yeah, right away. I can't have someone looking exactly the same as me wandering around.
Okay, fair enough.
Snog, Cable, marry Cyclops.
Okay. Wait, can I ask one more? Let's do your uncles. Adam X, Vulcan, or Alex Summers?
Oh, there's definitely a right answer to this one.
I know. If you want to be invited again, you should know the right answer.
So, sorry, Adam X, Havoc, and
Vulcan.
Vulcan. Marry Havoc. Snog Vulcan, kill Adam X.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for playing, but you'll never be back on this podcast again.
You're done. How dare you? Adam X is the one you... Ideally, you would have married Adam X, but I would have taken a Snog. Snog. But that's fine. That's fine. You know what?
Furiously Googling who Adam X is because he doesn't. Because unfortunately, Dayspring, no one knows who this character is.
I actually have no idea who Adam X is.
I am like wagging my finger right now like a white girl at Bed Bath & Beyond when my coupon isn't working. So angry right now. Fine. You know what? Vulcan.
Marry Kiwi Black. Marry Kiwi Black. The only New Zealand mutant in the feature.
Vulcan scot-free cosplays as him. He's the world's only Vulcan cosplayer. So we'll take that as a plus. And you're, of course, always welcome back. But I'm going to kick it over to Sean.
All right. So mine would be Snog, marry a Void, Sabretooth, Namor, or Dakin.
Ooh, avoid Dakin for sure. He's very annoying. Snog Namor, which leaves
marrying Sabretooth.
Marrying Sabretooth. God,
you want to marry Sabretooth?
I don't want to marry Sabretooth.
Oh my God.
I think I'm gonna have to marry Namor. I'm gonna have to snog Sabretooth and marry Namor.
Bitch, you can be a sovereign of Atlantis if you're with Namor.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna marry Namor.
Yeah.
You would be a fantastic Sabretooth cosplay, actually.
Oh, that I saw that at DragCon, not DragonCon. The Sabretooth cosplayer there. Oh my God, bravo.
Yeah.
I think all Sabretooth costumes those are so great.
That's going on my list. A Sabretooth cosplay.
You do Sabretooth, I'll do Wolverine, and we'll do that for the next MCM.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, in like 3 months, third MCM of the year.
Well, and the next MCM is next weekend, so we gotta get those costumes started.
Chris, your energy is infectious. You've taken the internet by storm with your Cable. You and Latvarian Lad have great chemistry as father and son, or daddy and son.
Daddy and son.
Where can folks hit you up? Where can they slide into your DMs to tell you how much they enjoy your cosplay, and what other stuff do you have coming up officially that you can talk about?
You can see me on Instagram at Christopher.Cosplay. Nothing too much coming up, although my partner and I are doing a very long vacation. Well, not very long, but a vacation in Orlando at the end of November. So we're going to Disney World.
All right. You'll be 3 hours away from me.
Oh, well, come along. If you fancy a 3-hour drive.
I'll show up unannounced.
Yeah. So if you happen to be in that area, come and say hi. We'll be at one of the parks for over 10 days, I think, in total.
Wow.
Then we've got MegaCon coming up in January in London, and then MCM again in May.
Yeah, and we have a MegaCon in Orlando as well, and that's in February. So your MegaCon is in January, and that's London-based, but not to be confused where you're going to be in Orlando, but not for MegaCon. You're going to be just a civilian there.
Yeah. Depending on whether I can whip something together through the month of December, I will be in Cable again.
Fabulous. And Sean, what do we have coming up? I feel like we have a fun interview happening tomorrow that we're excited for.
We do, yeah. We're interviewing Luigi.
We love Luigi.
Is a very prolific cosplayer from LA.
Not
Luigi. Not Luigi, not that Luigi. But I think inspired his name. No, because his real name is Luigi. I was like, oh, he's inspired by the He's inspired by. He's done Luigi though.
He has done
He has
Luigi.
still
I mean,
done Luigi.
he's
I
done
can't
so
keep
many
up with all
cosplays.
his cosplays.
You know, like in terms of like, I think cosplayers, there's a few that have been around for a while that are really prolific, and I'd say he's one of them.
Oh, he's OG.
Yeah, he's OG. So very excited to speak to him tomorrow. I think we're doing that one.
Yeah.
And then yeah, besides that, I think there's no more cons the rest of the year here in Europe. We are desperately trying to make WonderCon happen in LA in March.
I have the dates blocked.
So yeah,
Chris, come.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just badger Chris to come to WonderCon
If I could be a
with me.
professional cosplayer and have all of the time and money to just travel and go to cons, I would.
Well, Christopher, based on the number of DMs I get about you and OnlyFans, I'm sure you can become a professional cosplayer if you so choose.
Not too much work.
But yeah, so I've got that, and then MCM again in May, and I don't know, maybe WonderCon in January. Who knows?
Yeah. And where can folks hit you up? They know.
On Instagram, yeah, Latvarian
They
Lad.
know.
Although, you know what, Hammy made a really good point. So we were chatting, he's like, well, when are you going to do Doctor Doom cosplay? And I said, well, never, because I don't want to wear a mask all day.
Why?
And then
Why? You know the line I want you to say. Why are
I'm
you
not
bringing
saying the
this up?
line. We'll say, I'll tell Christopher the line off camera. But he's like, well, why did you make your name Latvarian Lad if you're never going to do Doctor Doom? And I went, you know what? That's actually a really good point. So who knows? You know what? I'm considering a rebrand soon. So for now,
Or
you can
even
find me-
Iron Lad.
Yeah, I'm not going to do Iron Man or Iron Lad either. So we'll see. For now, it's Latvarian_Lad, not Latvian Lad. Nothing to do with Latvia. I'm sure it's a great country. I've never been, but yeah, it's Latvarian Lad. So yeah, hit me up on Instagram there.
And we are at Power of X-Men on YouTube and Instagram and on all podcast platforms. Don't slide into my DMs, slide into Sean and Chris's DMs and tell them how much you love their cosplay. All right, Familia, we'll see you next time.